Ben, welcome to London Real.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, Brian. It's a pleasure to be here. And I was just saying earlier, what a wonderful studio you've got, and this backdrop of these terrific 19th century looking Union flags. Union Jacks, actually, they look like. They look like they've come off the back of a ship, don't they?
Yeah, we've had these for 10 years now, flying them proudly here.
Yeah, they're great.
I never saw anything wrong with that. In fact, a lot of people know these flags because they've seen this show. The show's been watched over 1 billion times. So I've had people come in.
1 billion times?
1 billion times,
Wow.
yeah. So I've had people that come in and they're like, I know this show because the flags, the backdrop,
Yeah.
and it's called London Real. Because when I started this show, I knew that I believe London is one of the greatest brand names in the world and one of the greatest cities in the world. And even though I was born in America, this city is just given me everything. I've always had tremendous success here, and it's really a city I love and really care about. As I guess as do you.
Yeah, and me. I mean, I came to England in 1979, went to boarding school, then went to university. And I came to London in 1987 as a graduate recruit at what was then called Shearson Lehman Brothers, but you'll know it as Lehman Brothers.
Yes.
And I remember being quite in awe of London, almost overwhelmed by London when I first came at the age of 22. And then I had a 3-month stint in New York. And coming back to London was like coming to a village. and I've absolutely adored London ever since.
That's fascinating because I had the same experience. I was in New York after college. I went to MIT, got an engineering degree, went to Wall Street for 4 years. And when I came to London, I was like,
phew, you can breathe.
This is a suburb. Yeah. And so I've been, indoctrinated at the extreme. And so I could operate here, freely. And, you've got the Hampstead Heath, you can jump in the pond and it's
I know. When I came back I lived in Manhattan for those 3 months. And you can't even see the sky really because of all the tall buildings. And if you want to go for a run on the pavement, you're dodging people all the time.
Yeah.
And I came to London and thought, wow, we're so lucky to have London.
And yet I have tourists that come here and they say, this place is so intense, I can barely handle it. And I'm like, really? So yeah, I know what you mean. And so many people come to London and they just compliment, maybe how it used to be, but friendly people. And, it's still, one of the great metropolises, but we can talk about where London is along that way. I had this burning question that I'm trying to get my head around. When I saw you on stage on that protest with Tommy, and I had Tommy in here a few weeks ago.
I saw, yeah.
And I had an amazing conversation with Tommy, and it's the first time I spoke to Tommy, even though he's been on my radar for a long time. And one of the crazy things is, Ben, is that I'm in the media business, and yet I still have media biases towards people, which is crazy, because if anyone should know that the media never portrays someone correctly, it would be someone in this business. And yet still people walk into the studio and I have all these preconceived notions about them because of the headlines that I've read.
Yeah.
And yet almost always when I sit there and talk to them for a couple hours, and what's that old proverb, walk a mile in a man's shoes, I realize why they're the person that they are. And that really helps a lot to understand why they feel that way and the journey they've been on. And that's what I got from Tommy. And so I wanted to have you here, but when I saw you on that stage, I said, here is Ben Habib, right? And as you said, you were born in Pakistan. You didn't move to Britain until you were 14. Your father's Muslim. And you're on stage with Tommy Robinson, a British nationalist who in some way, shape or form believes the plight of England is due to Muslim rape gangs, right? And I'm sitting there thinking, these are two opposites, and yet you're getting on like a house on fire and the crowd is cheering for you. Yeah. So Ben, please explain to me this conundrum.
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside I view is unlimited.
And as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.
My dad is Pakistani and he is Muslim. My mother is English, blue-eyed blonde from Isleworth, and her father fought in World War I, and my great-grandfather was a vicar. So I have two different sides from which I was born. And I was born in Karachi in 1965, which was post-imperial India, if you like. Pakistani side of India, but post-imperial India, with the tailwinds of British Empire still, going through the streets of Karachi. And so we grew up with a very anglicised, in a very anglicised way. And the school I went to in Karachi, which was the Karachi Grammar School, was a school set up by the British when they were there. It taught an English syllabus. It was the time in history when we actually had pride in the United Kingdom across the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth was relatively new back in 1965 through to 79. And the British, the sense of our former British rulers was a positive one. Everyone was proud of the fact that we were part of the Commonwealth and that Pakistan had an imperial British past. And just like in the United Kingdom, our history is being rewritten. It has been rewritten in Pakistan too. So I find that Pakistanis whom I grew up with and were very pro the West when I was a child are less pro the West now. But there's been a form of indoctrination taking place, particularly in the Muslim world, and we can talk about Islam if you'd like to, but particularly in the Muslim world. And the other thing, about the sort of period in which I was born was that Islam was going through a kind of enlightened period. I'm sure you're familiar, Brian, with photographs of Iran, Tehran, Baghdad, Beirut, Karachi, Islamabad. From that era, 1950s and 60s, all the women have their hair open. They're all wearing skirts and
very
dresses. Cosmopolitan. And Islam has regressed. We've jumped straight into Islam, but Islam has regressed since then. And when I left Karachi in 1979, it was still relatively enlightened form of Muslim practice. But during the 80s, Wahhabism, this more fundamentalist form of Islam, which, by the way, I think Islam has a tendency to head back towards. Every time it gets enlightened, it gets yanked back to fundamentalism. This Wahhabi fundamentalist form of Islam was exported out of Saudi Arabia with petrodollars and so on. And we seem to have taken some of the worst forms of that into the United Kingdom. And Tommy Robinson, to give him his due, many of us are Johnny-come-latelys to waking up to what's been going on. And as a working class lad, this is how I understand it, as a working class lad in Luton. And I remember going through Luton in the 1980s and thinking this looks like downtown Karachi.
Really?
Back in the 80s, because I used to go through Luton. I was at Cambridge University. My parents had a house in Berkhamsted, so I used to take the A505 through Luton. And I used to think this place looks like downtown Karachi in certain places. So I can see what Tommy Robinson grew up with. And if you're experiencing a foreign culture, a culture that is proselytizing, which is muscular, which doesn't hold itself to itself, and is very fundamental and unforgiving in its ideology, you're going to feel that coming into your community. And so someone like Tommy Robinson, I'm sure he's not alone in having experienced it, would have seen it much earlier than I did. I was in the ivory towers of Cambridge, then Lehman Brothers in the city, living in comfortable suburbs, and not even suburbs, central London.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.